Hey, what's up? This is ChoseN, and this video is going to be the live stream tier list debate that I did with Murder Inc. I'm going to upload the entire thing. I'm not going to edit it to make it shorter or anything, because the last thing I want to do is have somebody get taken out of context because of some edit I made. So I'm just going to upload the entire thing so that you have full context. And down below in a pinned comment, I will link to Murder Inc.'s channel. If you have not checked it out, I would definitely do so. He's a really smart guy that makes really good raid content, and he's a very good player. So definitely check out his channel if you have not before. And it's fun to just have a candid conversation and get some things that we disagree about out on the table and just talk about it. And then at the end of the day, it's nothing but love. We're all on the same team. We're both in the raid community. We both want what's best for the game. We both have kind of our style of content that we do. So it's all about just having an adult conversation, getting things out on the table that we disagree about, and learning from each other's perspectives. So anyway, I hope you enjoy. Let's get into it. Well, yeah, so you want to just dive into our convo here, or did you have anything you want to say first, or what's up with you?
Well, the first thing I want to say is, for one, thank you for doing this. I was kind of hoping more of the content creators would have reached out to have like an actual discussion, because I think that's definitely the aim, to kind of get people talking about it. I don't know if you saw some of the comments on my video, but it did not do justice for people. So it's like good to talk to someone who really stands behind tier lists, so you can get like an intellectual conversation going on.
Yeah, no, I don't ever hate someone for disagreeing. I think it's fine to have conversations. So that's not a problem at all. Did you want to clarify anything that maybe you came off wrong in the video or anything before I start to kind of lay out some of the things you said that I disagree with?
No, you can just get right into it.
Okay, cool. So I don't know if you've I agree with some of what you said. I think you just took it like way too far in terms of like things being a disservice and like you're ruining people's accounts by making a tier list and stuff. But like, so on my tier list, on the very top middle of it, it links to a video. And in that video, right towards the beginning, we end up actually saying the same thing. So in that video, I'm going to read this quote. Tier lists are not designed to be perfect, not designed to be the be-all, end-all, or to say you should always go by it. You should be using tier lists as a resource or a starting point, but you will still want to be using your own brain to think about which champions to build and where to use them. Don't ever use a tier list as a be-all, end-all, or think someone who made it knows everything. This is why I want to do my best to listen to input from other top players or people in the community and be willing to adjust my rankings in the future. Then, that's what I said in my video. Then at 12:30 in your video, you say this about tier lists. Yes, it's nice for you to have something as a reference, but you shouldn't be depending on content to make your gameplay and progression better. So I'm just curious as to why you say the same thing, and but yet you hate me for doing the tier list, or not hate me, but you hate the fact that I did a tier list.
I don't hate you.
Yeah.
So did you post that quote on the tier list or just in the video?
It's both. So I link to that video at the very top of the tier list. It's linked to tier list video, and I say that at the start of the video, and that's long ago. That's like a year ago, before you ever even thought about making that video.
All right. So assuming everyone watches that video that is going to watch the tier list, then that's, if we're saying the same thing, there's really nothing to say about it. However, I'm speaking like I didn't make the video for you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like many creators say, this is SS tier, this is my tier list, and they don't say what you're saying. Now, I based my whole argument around takeovers I've done, all of the discords I've been in, with people saying, this champion's trash because I saw so-and-so's tier list. Some of them even quoted yours, and that's why this champion's bad. So these people obviously didn't watch or like dissect what you said in the beginning of your video, which, like I said, is correct. That's definitely a logical approach to it. But my argument overall was against tier lists overall. So like, Do you have a link to your tier list, by the way? Bring it up.
Yeah. Let me get you. I'll send it on Discord. I gotta use my bot. There we go. Let's see. So here we go. And then just a side note. I kind of got a good chuckle, just full disclosure, of how you like at the start of your video where you're gonna rant about content creators making tier lists. You pull up a tier list that you made yourself.
Which tier list was that?
You start at the start of your video. You're looking at a tier list that you said you made.
I've never made a tier.
What at the start of your video? What were you talking about then?
So I said there is a way to make a tier list. I've never attempted it, and it would take so much time and effort and like a group effort of really knowledgeable players to actually make.
Okay, let me see this. 1 second. What did you say here at the start? What is this at the start of your video? Let me see. What tier list are you looking at in the start of your video?
A lot of games, not just collector games, mobile games, but
I don't remember
every
looking
single
at the tier
game.
list,
This
but-
is something that I made with a lot of people.
This is something
as
that
well.
I made, and you pull up a tier list. Is that not right?
I mean, I'm gonna watch the video to see what you're referring to. We're talking about my tier list video, right?
Yeah. Raid Shadow Legends tier list, Murder Inc. January 7th. And then at the very start of it, 30 seconds in, you pull up a tier list that you were making. But then
yeah.
But then the whole video you say that you're against tier lists.
Correct. I never released a tier
Well.
list.
How the turntables.
Yeah, I have it up. So what's your question about this exactly?
Well, so like, so obviously you are open to the idea of making a tier list because you pulled up your own that you've been working on. So you're obviously open to the idea of doing it.
So if you go to the pinned comment that I have in the video,
okay,
it gives you exactly what this tier list was. This was going to be for Arena. I worked with over 15 people on this for a very long time to come up with this list. And then the meta changed and I said, there's no way I can release this. It's just like, it makes no sense. I could never rank something with a constantly changing. So this was like a reinforcement to that, to the point of no matter how much effort I actually put into this and I mean, I was using clan members as support. I reached out to the Mad Clan, Immortal Hordes, and I talked with some of their top arena players to make this list, to make it as like sound as possible. And even with all of those people working together and making this tier list, I said, it changes way too much. A champion will get released, it'll shake things up in the meta, and it just reinforced my point of no matter how much effort I put into this with some of the smartest people in the game, I can't make a good tier list, especially for something like Arena. Like if it never changed, maybe.
I mean, I actually used to do Platinum Arena meta analysis videos, and I literally stopped doing them because it was the same top 10 every video. Like for 5-6 months. So there was no demand for it. I just stopped doing it. So in terms of the top 10 most used champions in Platinum Arena, it's like the definition of pretty set in stone. It doesn't change a whole lot. I mean, maybe 1 or 2 champions will slide in and out, but it's mostly Sify, Krisk, Tormund, and Warlord, all the normal suspects. So I don't see. I guess I see a different thing than you. I don't think the meta and arena changes that. I mean, the release of Tormund maybe. I mean, maybe once a year there's like a big shakeup, but.
So how often do you push arena for platinum on reset?
Push platinum reset. I don't, because it's a waste of time.
All right. So I do every once in a while, and I always watch the streams, and you will see a ton of different champions. It's definitely not just 10, and it's always changing. Like Inquisitor Ishmael, or Shemaya, whatever his name is. I did a video on him. He's actually surfacing in platinum now. He's the best single target damager in the game.
Yeah.
So like people are always finding new ways to cut into whatever the 10 champion meta actually is.
Well,
and if you do push platinum, you have to have at least 9 champions if you really want to succeed in it. Like I just pushed this past reset and I try to push at least 2 or 3 times a month just so I can like really see who people are using. And I can tell you that there's way more than 10 champions used.
Oh, for sure. I'm just talking about like charting it. I'm talking about, obviously there's like 50, 60 champions that get used in certain situations for certain defenses for sure. 100% I agree. I'm just talking like the top 10 most used was very, very set in stone. It was barely shifting. This isn't 1996 where you release a book and you can't edit it. Like it's when we do a tier list, you can change it whenever you want. Like if somebody comes into my stream and says, hey, last night I was watching Manible's stream or I was watching MurderInc. He was talking about how this champion's amazing. Like I'll listen to input all the time and I'll change stuff.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just hard for me to get behind the 10 most used champions. Because I mean, I'm assuming you're referring to defense only, because those are the champions you actually see if you look at platinum.
Yeah,
not offense.
and you can do like Google surveys and ask people what they use on offense and the most common things. But yes, you're right. It's extremely tough to like accurately chart anything. But the defense. But I think we're mostly in agree with that. It's just I think you're underestimating the like how fluid a properly done tier list is. And like I say in my disclaimer on my tier list, it's not going to be perfect. Like there's 500 champions in raid, and you're ranking them in at least 10 different areas. So you're talking about 5,000 cells of data. You're obviously going to be able to like pull it up and scroll through it and be like, see, I disagree with this rating. I disagree with this rating. I mean, when you're rating 5,000 data points, there's going to be something that's either wrong or that you disagree with. So like we both agree, it should be used as a reference point and not like a Bible.
Yeah, I agree with that. My only thing is, how many people do you think are... So is there any way for you to track how many people view your tier list? Like, not kind of like a website, like Website Hits or something?
Not really. It shows you like active people, because it'll say like 15 users plus.
I see that on the top.
Yeah, plus 25 guests or something. But I mean, my videos on tier lists will get, I don't know, 10,000 views or something. So but then there's obviously people in my Discord server that pull it up or link it to friends or so I don't know. I mean, maybe 25,000 people, somewhere between 25,000 and 50,000. I don't know, somewhere in there.
Based on your streaming frequency, I would say you're underselling how many people look at it. And then the question would be, how many people do you think are watching your video, since you don't have that like highlight theme we both agree with anywhere on the actual tier list itself?
What, like that quote?
Yeah, which is like, I 100% agree with what you said in your video. But the fact that it's nowhere on your tier list, you have to actually click in your video to see it.
Yeah. Well, and that I could get behind. I don't think you're wrong there. I don't think it would detract from like making sure that statement is on there. So I can get on board with that. I think that's a valid point.
So my biggest thing with tier lists is, why not just remove the overall ranking?
Because it's a good barometer of like, okay, the reason tier lists are so popular is because when people are spending money or starting a new game, a raid especially, like books are extremely expensive, and it's a struggle for players. And if they're gonna spend them, they want to know that they're spending them properly. So the reason I put the overall ranking on there is so they can look at it and be like, okay, I'm a new player. Which champion scores out overall the best? That way, if I'm gonna spend rare books, if I'm gonna spend epic books, and especially legendary books, I want to see which champion is overall going to be the most progression and impact on my account. And that's why I weight the overall calculation to reflect different areas of the game. For example, it's much more impactful to your account to have a champion that's good in the clan boss as opposed to a champion that's a good XP farmer in 12-3, because there's no scarcity of that position. There's 285 champions that can farm 12-3 effectively. So, but there's not 285 champions that can really be insane and Nightmare and Ultra on clan boss. So that's why I have the overall rating on there, is to help people like kind of get a grasp of where to put books. Because where I disagree with you is, like, I want the free flow of opinions of champions out there, and then give people the option to be like, okay, this person sounds stupid, I'm not going to listen to them anymore, or be like, okay, this person actually did a pretty good job on this. This is somebody I might subscribe to or listen to.
True, but that's for the assumption of players who have a sound understanding of the game, which most people looking at tier lists, I don't think I know any end game players, and like end game by definition, not late game, which a lot of people definitely confuse, but I don't know any end game players that use tier lists.
Yeah,
so
well, Murder,
if we're talking,
tier lists aren't designed for players like you and me that can recite 90% of the kit abilities in the game. Like,
no, that's my point. So when you talk about like where the champion does best, research, weighing options, you really think players that aren't like us are actually doing that? Because from what I've seen, I can tell you no. From all the account takeovers I've done, they're literally looking at this, and as soon as they see this overall score here, they're saying this is going to determine whether I use it or not.
well,
And if I have any other champion that's higher on this list for the overall score, then I'm going to use that instead.
well, it breaks
I
it.
just think the assumption of, I think you're just giving people looking at the tier list too much credit. It's not that they're stupid. I mean, it's basic principle that when someone starts a game, they have very low knowledge of the game.
I
You
think
can spend hours of researching, but you won't really get the grasp of the game until you actually play through the content over and over again.
I think that would be the vast minority, and that would be a problem with them. I don't think we should suppress the free flow of information and people giving opinions on champions just because someone might misuse that information. That's like saying no one should give stock advice because someone might go crazy and cash out, sell their house, and dump all their money into a stock that goes broke.
No,
So no one
that's,
should
that's
share.
not my point by any means. My
Whoa.
point is literally just about deleting the overall column in your tier list. Everything else is brilliant. That has nothing to do with an argument there. I believe that's how, so this is the difference. I mean, obviously, you know, the word tier is an ascending or descending list ranking champions. But if you just have like a champion guide listing all of the champions, then having everything but the overall, saying where you think they're good, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, I think that's the best way to help people. Because you just have, like, just think about human psychology and how when someone sees an overall score using the colors red like you did in your tier list, just basic psychology, 1. I mean, there are probably fantastic champions that are listed under 3. And if someone isn't as knowledgeable about the game, which is going to be most people going into a tier list comparative to us talking about it right now, who have like a full understanding how you can definitely use champions that are listed low in a tier list, put them with a certain gear set and use them to incredible success.
Yeah.
So that's just my point there. It's just the overall ranking is the only problem I have with tier lists. Everything else, I mean, I do that in Champion Guide to say, hey guys, this is the book value. Do you need it? Do you not need it? They shine in this area. Like that's explaining a champion. Nothing to do with the tier list. I don't like the comparison of champions to each other because no one's going to have every champion on this list.
Well,
like
of
I'm
course.
very close, and I don't know. I would never compare one champion. So like my thing is specifically, if we took an example like enemy max health champions.
Okay.
Let me just make sure.
Cold Heart, Royal Guard, stuff like that.
Yeah, so Cold Heart, Royal Guard, and Septimus. Let me just bring up Septimus too. Make sure I 100% know what this passive is. And I'm not misremembering.
It's like extend 30% chance to extend the random debuff when attacked or something.
Yeah, damage inflicted by each attack increases by 30% if the enemy's current HP is over 50%. So Septimus, by definition, is the best enemy max health champion because he does the most damage. However, if you using him for someone like Spider, and you can't kill the spider and don't have the support champions, and the spider's going to get a turn. Septimus will die.
Yep.
And you have to revive him, and it's...
Yep.
So he won't be that good in that situation.
Yep.
Where someone like Royal Guard, who has an AoE, can actually kill the spiderlings, he will then move ahead of Septimus in that scenario.
Yep.
But then if you add an HP burn champion, then you want turn meter reduction, which then shifts back to single target and Septimus, but that also makes Cold Heart better than Septimus overall. So like, how can you explain that if you're ranking them with an overall rank? And how can you like assume that someone's going to understand that?
You go by...
It all falls under Spider. You can say, oh, I already ranked them for Spider, but how do you take into account what champions other players have?
You're right. That's why it is tough. That's the main reason I say what I say as a disclaimer of my tier list, is that you shouldn't use it like a Bible. You should use it as a reference point and some entertainment, to give you some context of champions. But that's exactly, I agree with you. That's exactly why I give the disclaimer. And you go by, the way I do it is you kind of weigh all of those things and crunch it into one value as best you can. But you're right. That's why I say it's never going to be perfect, because every account has different exceptions, and champions can be used different in the end game, mid game, and early game. Like Septimus is bad if you're trying to do a sustained spider strat, but he's amazing if you're end game and you have good gear and you can do a nuke strat. So I agree with you. I just, where we disagree is I don't want like the suppression of information and people doing their best to give information about champions.
I don't think that's an argument though. The only thing we disagree with right now, like as of right now, is the overall ranking.
Okay.
I see nothing wrong with every other tab, and I've even said that. Like I said, I've been doing champion guides since I started YouTube, and all of my champion guides from day one have always shown the strengths and weaknesses of every champion. My thing is, it's not a tier list as soon as you get rid of the overall. Like, you use numbers, other content creators use SS tier,
yeah.
S tier, and I think it's really damaging to people as soon as you add that overall, because you have to compare your account specifically, and people aren't giving disclaimers like you said in your tier list video. You'd actually be surprised at how few actually do that. I didn't know you did, because I actually didn't click on this tier list thing before. I didn't know you had a video attached to it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would be more on board with that disclaimer if it was like on the top of the tier list, because I really think that people aren't clicking that, and they're just using this tier list as like a set in stone.
Okay. Then that addresses one thing I was gonna bring up, but we already agree, because you're saying that if a tier list breaks down the different sections, then it's good. But there was another thing I disagreed with that you said, and that was you can't rank a champion. You don't know if they're good or not until you test them extensively. So I was gonna ask you, if Plarium designed a champion and they showed you everything that we have access to in the index, the base stats, the kit, everything, and they asked you, hey, MurderInc, is this champion gonna be good or not? And if so, where will it be good? Are you saying that you would tell them, I don't know, I have no idea. Like me reading the kit and seeing their stats, I can't give you any input. I don't know anything.
I mean, it depends how much information we're talking about. I'm basing this off of what everyone gets from information, which is never base stats, it's never how the AI works, and it's never with multipliers, which are like 3 crucial parts in testing out a champion.
Yeah, of course, but are you telling me if Plarium designed Siphi, like you wouldn't be able to look at that kit and say, okay, yeah, that's going to be a pretty damn good champion?
I mean, Siphi's that's the highest ranked champion.
But I could say that for 100 champions. Arbiter, Lysandra, Chris. I mean, like, you can look at a kit. If you're a knowledgeable player, you're a smart guy, you can look at a kit. I know you can. If Plarium designs a champion and show...
But the only flaw with that argument is you're now comparing me to everyone reading your tier lists, which is like...
No, you said...
The tape.
No, you said all tier lists are trash because it's impossible to judge a champion without being able to test it. And even me, I don't have all champions So no one can do it effectively. So I'm saying that means you would not be able to look at a champion concept that Plarium designs and be able to tell if it's good or not. That's what you're saying. That's your words.
Correct. And I've never done that to this date.
Well, we disagree on that because I know for a fact endgame knowledgeable players can look at the base stats of a champion and look at the kit and figure out if that champion has...
Yeah, but they don't supply the base stat when they release a champion.
No, but we have access to that in the
separate
index. And I don't put champions on my tier list if they're not in the index yet.
Okay, but other tier lists don't do that. Like, as soon as Plarium announces it, like for us in the content creator program, they're put inside the tier list.
Well, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with like adding it as best as you can. Like the only way I would agree with you is if somebody was like, if like I said, if it was like 1996 when you release a book and then you're just never gonna edit it again. But that's not how the world works now. Like let's say Hell Hades releases puts a champion on the tier list as soon as possible. Like this new fragment summoning champion. I haven't added it to the tier list because, like I said, I don't do it until it's in the index. But let's say Hell Hades adds it. I'm okay with that because I know like he's probably gonna edit it. Like with Fane, we all thought Fane was you know, and then all of a sudden people's opinion on her changed a little bit because we saw the base stats. Everybody was like, ooh, her base defense, like, huh. And so we adjusted our opinion, we adjusted our way of thinking, and we kind of added that to the context of our rankings. Like, this stuff is fluid.
True. I mean, Fane's biggest issue was her AI.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which was fixed, and now she is, especially for unkillable teams,
yeah,
she is the
sure.
second best unkillable champion to Dragonmort.
Yep. And see, like, but like your way of talking to me now is a lot more based. You're like, well, your tier list is mostly good. I just disagree with not having a disclaimer and having the overall ranking. But in your video, you were like vicious.
Well, no. We have to understand that the only thing making what you have a tier list is the overall section. Nothing else here is a tier list. Your overall right here, making it an ascending and descending list. Mm-hmm. Ranked from top to bottom. That's the only thing making it a tier list by definition. If you delete overall, it's not a tier list. It's like a comprehensive champion guide, which
so
I would 100% stand behind.
I think you have more of a problem with the tier lists that don't break anything down. They just say Siphi is double S and Astrolith is F.
No, I just have a problem with the tier part of the tier list. I think it's damaging to have an overall section on it. I just think it doesn't make any sense.
Okay. Well, we'll move on from that. I think we're mostly on the same page. We just slightly disagree. But you also said one of your big points in your video was that it's impossible to rank champions in raid because nothing is 1 versus 1. So everything is either 4 versus 4, 5 versus 5. So it's impossible to rank a champion because you never see them in a 1 versus 1 context, other than you gave a little bit of a caveat talking about XP farming in the arena. So, or XP farming in the campaign. So, like, do you think that's true with other things, or is that just raid? Like, does something have to be a 1v1 competition to be able to tell something's value?
Outside of raid,
like is that like a general thing? Like, you have to see something 1 versus 1 to know its value, or can you see something's value within a team setting?
Everything I said only applies to the game raid.
So you, like, without seeing Siphi 1v1ing in the arena, or I mean, you get mad that I use Siphi because she's so obviously good, but like,
well, I mean, you can use Arbiter,
Mashaled, Arbiter, any of these like Krisk. You would have to see them 1v1 another champion to know that they're bringing value to. You can't see that their abilities are adding insane value to the team
compared to other champions.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's champions that don't do near what Krisk does. I can list 20 legendaries off the top of my head that I don't have to see them 1v1 to know that they're not gonna bring the overall general utility and value to an account that Krisk would. And you
True,
know that.
but there are champions that can do what Chris does, plus more when put together. So, I mean, yes, you can say it's a 2 champion versus 1 champion, but those 2 champions add more than just what Krisk does. Like Ursuga right now in Arena is better than Krisk if we're talking about like survivability and defense. This is tested. I mean, not a lot of people have her. I was lucky enough to pull her early, and people who use her understand, but a lot of people don't know that.
And I've got
Ursuga's.
I've got Ursuga and Krisk right next to each other and the exact same rating in the arena.
Yeah, Ursuga's just better. Like as far as like what the kid actually does.
Okay.
And then with the passive that applies without having to activate, like Chris does have that defense down and attack down, but all you need is a block debuff, and then it makes it use this. Whereas Ursuga, she's full on protection from the start with her passive, no matter what. And all you have to do is put her in a shield set, and she is Krisk, just a better version.
Well, yeah, we agree on that. Like that's a side point. We agree on that. I'm saying that you don't have to see a champion 1 versus 1 to know, like, you know that me and you can read a kit of a champion that's not out yet and know if they're going to be good or not, or know if they have a very high probability of being good or not. Like, you know that.
I mean, many of us have been wrong many times before.
Yeah, of course. When you do something 6 hours a day and you give opinions for 3 hours a day between YouTube and Twitch, like, yeah, you're gonna be wrong at some point. That shouldn't.
Yeah, that's my point. It can be
exactly
factual as long as you get rid of the ranking of overall.
Hmm.
You can still say this champion's good here, here, and here based on their kit. All you have to do next to that statement is, instead of saying this is a 9.9, you just have to say, I mean, I literally just typed up a full breakdown of all of the new champions that are coming out in my Discord. And what I did is, at the top of it, let me just go to it real quick. I said, here's a brief untested breakdown of the new champions due for patch 3.2.
Yeah, but
That's all I had to write at first. And then I gave my opinion, as clearly stated from that first statement.
yeah,
As I said, it was untested.
I think that's great.
I would never put that into a tier list and say, this is a number associated with this champion. This is who this champion's better than. It just makes no sense to me without testing it. Why try to do it before you can actually test it? Like, what's the value?
I haven't added any of those champions to my tier list.
No, I'm not saying you have. But I'm saying, if a champion isn't thoroughly tested, why not just wait and test it? We're all content creators. We have tons of viewers who would gladly let us use our accounts. I've never spoke on a champion that I haven't tested. I've just never done it because it makes no sense to me. Why not just take the time, figure out every single nuance of the champion, so I'm never wrong when giving an opinion?
And there's nothing wrong with that stance. Like, I don't criticize anything you do. I think you do a really great job. Like, there's nothing wrong. You're the one taking a position, criticizing other people, and you didn't criticize some. You said all are trash, and anyone who does it is doing a disservice to the community. I
For
think
having the overall rank, yes.
I think that's a little exaggerated.
See, this is what I've seen so far coming into this conversation. You've grouped your entire tier list together and said this is what it's calling trash. But I'm literally calling a tier list trash.
Yeah.
The only thing in this that's a tier list is your overall chart and the overall column. If you delete that, it's not a tier list.
Okay.
So like, this isn't like me saying your work's terrible, you don't know what you're talking about. This is me saying delete the overall column, and I can 100% stand behind this. But until you do that, I'm strongly against this. I don't care who's doing this.
Yeah,
and this is coming from someone who, as I've already explained, I mean, you know how much effort I put into my champion guides. I've explained it. A lot of people understand, and I actually show them what I'm doing, what's right, what's wrong about the champion, strength, weaknesses. So if I've been able to do that, I don't understand why other people can't do that and just get rid of this champion is, in my opinion, better than all of these other champions. And back to my main point, tier lists in other games aren't as opinion-based as Raid. Raid's the most customizable game I've ever played, for that matter, with all the different gear sets, how you can actually obtain debuffs and buffs from an actual gear set is like insane. Customized, Jesus, I don't even know the word right now. I can't even think. Your ability to customize a champion is so above and beyond any other game that I've ever played that has like tier lists that people actually get behind, and all the content creators like have them within literally 1 or 2 slots of each other. That's when it makes sense. For Raid, like I've said before, the way you have it outside of your overall breakdown is one of the best ways to make a tier list. The only thing that I would have done differently that you have on your tier list is add an additional spot for all of these areas and break it down by affinity as well. So obviously, if they're void, they're just good across the bat, and their main rating would stay true. But like, if you compare something like when you say dragon and you score them for dragon, I would say there's a dragon 20 score, there's a dragon, let's say 19 through 15 score, so on and so forth. Because affinity is a huge deal.
But like, okay, like we're getting off the point here. Like my argument was that's not what you said. You didn't say, hey, you know, there is some usefulness here. I just wish that it would be done in this way instead of this way. You said it's all trash. I've never seen anything that should be distributed to the community, and everyone who does it is doing a disservice. Like, what you're saying to me right now isn't what you said in your video.
It is. I don't know why you're just not picking this up. If you delete your overall column, it's no longer a tier list. And it's good outside of that.
That's not what you said. You didn't say I can get behind it if people would just make a couple small changes. You said it's all
No.
trash.
It's not a couple small changes. It's making it no longer a tier list. That's what I think you're not picking up on. It's not a tier list if you delete this overall. It's a champion resource guide. Nothing to do with the tier list. As soon as you start comparing them to other champions in a listed value, ascending and descending, like I said, that's the definition of tier and then listing things. So I don't know if you think I'm trying to like get around the argument. The only thing with the tier list is the overall ranking. That's the only part of the tier list that makes it a tier list. If you get rid of that, it's no longer a tier list. So I can say everything outside of that is good, because that's irrelevant to a tier list. The only thing that actually matters is your overall ranking.
Okay, well, we'll move on from that. I get what you're saying. My point was you weren't as based in your video. You just called everything and everyone trash. That was my argument. I just
assumed that everyone who made a tier list understood that the only thing that made it a tier list that they made was their overall rank system. Had nothing to do with the research they put into book value, clan boss, arena. Like, I understand that's where they got the numbers to make it overall, but it's irrelevant to a tier list. The only thing that makes it a tier list is the overall tab. So you delete that and my video's fine. It doesn't. If you literally deleted the overall column, nothing I said in my video would apply to you. Okay.
I want to move on because I think we're kind of going in circles, and I think we mostly understand each other. We're just kind of beating that point to death. So there was just a couple other things I wanted to touch on while we're here. You replied to someone that I just wanted to get clarification from. You replied to someone in a comment with here, I'll read this quote. I spoke with Plarium themselves about this because I asked for permission to go after people who were sending out harmful content. Not only did I get their blessing, but they said a shakeup in the content creator community for Raid is needed, and they agreed. So
correct.
I just wanted to get some clarification and give you an opportunity to explain, like, is Plarium making you the arbiter of who gets a voice in the Raid content creator community, or like, I'll let you clarify what exactly that is.
What do you mean, who gets a voice? I went to them and said, hey, I want to do something, but I want to make sure I'm not breaking any rules. So I outlined what I wanted to do. And the response was, hi again. Actually, I think some audiences and content creators themselves need that kind of shakeup, not just us, under the arrows of constant criticism. I respect facts and reasoned criticism a lot, And if it's shown in videos in a polite, respectful, but honest way, and not being afraid of angry comments or sideways glance from other content creators, I think it will be fine.
But that, I mean, that just sounds like you're asking permission to criticize someone. That doesn't sound like a shake up to the content creation community.
What do you mean? Shake up's their word, not mine.
Well,
I was reading my response. I asked to go after people that I thought were doing a disservice. And they responded with that.
What part of that quote did they say that some massive cataclysmic shake up to the raid content creator community was needed and is coming?
I think sometimes audiences and content creators themselves need kind of a shake up, not just us under the arrows of constant criticism. It's the first sentence I read.
Yeah. Yeah, that just means that, like, a shake up in terms of the way you kind of worded that is like you're working with Plarium to shake things up and you got their blessing and you're talking with them because people aren't doing content creation right. And before that quote, you were talking about how content creators need to start taking responsibility for the fact that they have viewers. And then you went on to say that you are reaching out to Plarium to address this issue. And not only did you get their blessing, but they said that a shakeup is sorely needed. But then what actually happened was you were basically just asking for permission to criticize someone, and they were like, "Yeah, go ahead. Shakeup's good every now and then."
Not someone, everybody. This isn't targeted at one person specifically.
No, I know.
But yeah, I asked them. I said, "Hey, like, what's the extent of what I can do with the NDA that I did sign?" And I kind of outlined exactly what I want to do. Told them I would be aggressive, and I mean, as what I just read to you, it's funny because one of the things they said is not being afraid of angry comments or sideways glances from other content creators. Like, I understood that. I have a really thick skin. So like when I get constantly bashed by people, like, I don't mind that at all, as long as it gets somewhere productive.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
and like, I think this debate has been extremely productive. For like both of us and for people watching.
Yeah, I mean, everybody gets hate sometimes. We all deal with that. So no, and like I said, I think you do a great job. There's just a few things I didn't make a video criticizing you. You made a video criticizing everybody else. So you don't have to defend like what you do in terms of your content. I didn't make a video criticizing you. But anyway, I want to move on to like the last thing that I want to touch on. The last issue I had, and this is a little bit different than Raid. But this was like, you speak of a disservice to the community. So according to you, people giving their opinion on champions is a disservice to the community. But then at the end of your video, you went on a little tangent about how much of a joke and how easy it is to be a content creator. And I think
that was a shot at someone specific, and they know exactly who they are.
But you didn't say that.
I did not list a name.
You said how much of a joke and how easy it is to be a content creator. I think that is much more of a disservice to the community, because do you know what percentage of content creators earn enough to make a living? What percentage of content creators make it to partner on Twitch? What percentage of people average 100 viewers? I think when you say to 20,000 people, being a content creator is a joke, I do it, it's super easy, anybody can do it. I think that's a much larger disservice to the community than saying, hey guys, I think this champion is pretty good.
I think you're overblowing what I said significantly.
I'm not overblowing what you said. You said, I don't care about the money. I don't care about the money, and being a content creator is not a real job. It's super easy. It's a joke.
Not a real job. That's a quote.
Well, that was like your sentiment you were giving. I believe I had to pull up your video, but
it's how you took it.
That's not how I took it. That's what you said. You said it's like it's super easy.
You're either quoting me or
Let's
not.
get started. First off, you. Oh my God! Can you let me do it?
I'll play it. Let's play it. I'll pull up the video. We'll play it. You're right. I don't want to misquote you, but in my opinion, that's a much bigger disservice to the community. Because less than 1% of Twitch streamers make it to partner, and only 0.3%. Average 100 viewers, and averaging 100 viewers is nowhere near making a living. So it's actually insanely difficult just by the math. It's insanely hard. So I think telling thousands of people that it's easy, I think that would be a little bit more disingenuous than ranking champions on Raid. But anyway, let me pull this up. But like I said, you can let me know if that's not what you said or not what you meant.
We'll see what I said. I mean, I know where I stand on the issue.
Well, then I guess just clarify it. Like, do you think it's a joke?
Okay, so the person, no, it's not a joke. To compare this and say it's a ton of hard work, it's extremely grinding, to compare it to 9-to-5 jobs of doing manual labor every single day, night and day. As far as the one wear and tear on you, how much effort you have to put into things. Like, I mean, just look at it that way. Consider yourself working 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, manual labor, and then consider what you have to do for content creator and content creating. This is full-time. I'm not talking about part-time. I literally cited 9 to 5 because that was my comparing reference there. So like, I'm not taking a shot at people who aren't hitting 100 sub or follower or view mark, whatever you said there. They're not included. And I excluded them by making the reference of the 9 to 5 job. If this is a full-time job for you and you have tons of viewers, and specifically you're going to sit there and say, it's a ton of work, it's a huge grind, and I don't want... So this was the context for the person specifically. I didn't want to say this because people would know right away who it was. That they don't have the time to properly test champions. So it's okay for them to make mistakes on a tier list.
But like, I would have no issue with that if you were like, hey, this is directed towards someone specifically, and then gave your opinion, and been like, I don't want to call them out by name.
There is an issue with that though.
There's an issue with anonymously saying this isn't directed to everybody. This is just a one person I'm thinking of.
Yes, because it wouldn't take a detective to figure out who that person was. And they even still found out, and people still publicly found out after that, with me being extremely general. So like, I get your point, and I agree, maybe I could have done it better and thought about a way to, I guess, target someone without targeting them, which is what I tried to do. But even though I was general and you didn't pick up maybe on who it was targeted at, a lot of people did, even without me saying the name.
Here, I got your end of your video pulled up. Let's see I don't. You're right. I don't want to misquote you. So,
of why you think this champion's bad, if they link you to a tier list, please bring up this argument to them, and if you have to, show them this video, because it's really important.
So wait, I'll let you know when I'm done playing.
People understand how good a champion is and how good a champion isn't has nothing to do with what you read on a piece of paper ranked S through F. It literally has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the knowledge you have of the game, what your account looks like, and the resources you have invested in those champions. So that's going to conclude my video. I plan on doing a lot more videos like this because we do have an overwhelming problem of people being rather careless with the content they push out. It's not just tier lists. There are many, many more things, whether they're doing champion spotlight videos, whether they're doing gearing videos, and a lot of the information is incorrect. And we are going to be correcting that, making sure they're trying hard, not just pushing stuff out to get money. Like I said, I respect the grind.
See, when you say we're going to be correcting that, and then you go in the comment section and say you're personally talking with Plarium, it makes it sound like you're like working to like go after people and get things changed. That's why I said that. Because that was your quote at the end of the video. You said, we're working on correcting that. But anyway, let me see exactly what you said about the whole job thing.
This job isn't hard, despite what people think. There is nothing hard about being a content.
You said this job isn't hard, despite what people think. There's nothing hard about this. So when you say that to thousands of people...
Yeah, okay. But before you jump ahead, I mean, I was listening through Discord. You understood that beginning part, right? That's what matters. I mean, you can just pick out that sentence you just brought up to me. But what I said before that is like the bread and butter of that statement. When people are doing this full time and doing a poor job as far as champions and everything I listed in that sentence before, the sentence you just said to me, that's exactly what I'm talking about. because those same people are saying there's not enough time in the day to research this. There's not enough time in the day to properly test this. I'm going to do this, get this out. It's going to get views because I'm the first one to get this out. Everyone who does YouTube knows that. The first person to ever make a video is going to get more views. And I'm saying that, like, think of how many people you're screwing over by doing that. How many fusion videos I've seen from every creator saying this champion's good or this champion's bad. Like, I know it goes back to our debate on the how you can rank a kit, but some people were very, very wrong. Like, think about Rotos.
Yeah, I've been wrong before. That's why I always say, you know, hey, this is my initial impression, but I always recommend going for fusions because, to your point, until we see the champion in game and we really test it, I don't want to look back with hindsight and be like, crap, I was wrong and I should have told you to do the fusion. So that's why I always, but we agree
Correct.
on that.
That's your realization.
Yeah.
But once again, the video's not a chosen tier list video.
No, I know. Yeah.
So there are people who are huge on the platform and they don't do that.
Yeah,
and it's really harmful. It really is. Just like no way to get around that. It's harmful.
We disagree on like the extent. Like I don't think it's like vicious and harmful. I think it's just the free flowing of information
that I've seen type even the general Discord who've never seen my content saying, "Man, I didn't go after this fusion because someone called it trash." A content creator I watch all the time said this was trash, so I didn't go for it. Whose fault is that?
But that's we can't. I mean, what kind of dystopian V for Vendetta Orwellian like marketplace do you want here? I mean, that's the free flow of information.
I mean, I do it all the time.
But like,
no one doesn't go after fusions or goes after fusions because of what I say.
But that's
I leave my opinion
fault.
out of every single champion spotlight I ever do. I leave it out because there's no need for it.
Then
the best thing to do is just to show them what the champion does. Why do we have to say, "Oh, this champion's amazing. This champion's game changer," or you know what? Don't go for this champion.
I have these fat plastic
Like, do you not see the harm in those statements? Why not just leave it as informational, showing them exactly what the champion does and letting them decide on their own with the information you provide as a knowledgeable content creator? Why not just let them know?
We agree with that.
Who wouldn't do that.
But I don't want like other content creators that I disagree with something they said to like stop doing videos. If they're being idiots, if they're giving people wrong advice, if they're making terrible videos, they're not going to have a following. Like, the marketplace will decide.
That's where you're wrong. That's where you're very wrong. They will have a following, and they do have huge followings. And the quality of their content is terrible. Which is why I went to Plarium and said, this is what I want to do. I haven't been doing YouTube for a year yet, but I'm getting close, and it's been getting worse and worse and worse. There was recently a video put out by one of the biggest content creators in this game, where he didn't cite his sources. He took someone else's information as his own, and it was a wrong, outdated chart. Was that okay? Is that okay for you?
Again, we agree on some of this stuff, but you're talking about individual.
That's the basic. That's my literal point on that whole statement. With what I said before to what I said with it not being a hard enough job for you to say I can get away with this and not put in the effort, just because it takes so much time and it's a grind.
Yeah, but like that was my whole point. Is a lot of this stuff you didn't provide context to. You're kind of doing the thing that you're criticizing. Like, you just made a statement. You just said being a content creator is easy. Anybody who said this is work is wrong. It's not work. Like, you didn't give it context. You're just making statements, and then you're criticizing people for doing that exact same thing about champions.
That's another misquote. You actually just read 5 minutes ago what I said, and I told you that the context was literally the sentence before what you quoted. That was all of the context needed.
Okay. Well, but anyway, that was my last issue with your video. I just thought, like, in my opinion, which I'm allowed to have an opinion just like you are, I think it's more of a disservice to say, hey guys, being a content creator is easy. It's not work. Anybody who says it's work is wrong. I think that's more of a disservice than someone giving an opinion about a champion. Like
once again, context, because that's not what I meant, which was easy to tell if you just listen to the sentence I said right before that.
Okay. And
so like, I understand if you didn't listen to what I said before and just like singled in on that one sentence that you quoted to me. If that's the only part of the video you watched, you're 100% right. That's what I said.
So you're talking about one sentence before? I can play it. I don't want to be wrong. Like, I'll play it again.
No, I listened to it through the Discord when you were playing it. And then you paused it and you said, okay, this is the part I have a problem with. It was right before that where I literally lined everything up for that punch statement that I made.
Okay. Then that's fine. That's why I didn't want to like not bring it up. I wanted to give you a chance to. I don't want to just say this stuff behind your back if we're going to be here.
No, of course. That's the point of a debate.
Cool. I think that was the last of, because that was the end of your video. I kind of went in chronological order of things you said. And that was right at the end. That was like the last minute of your video. So yeah. I think that's kind of everything I had in terms of, is there anything that you had in terms of something you wanted to debate me? Any problem you have with me or anything I've done? Like before we end, is there anything, this whole thing has kind of been me bringing points up to you and letting you give context and us going back and forth. But is there anything that you want to like debate me on in terms from your end?
No, the video was about tier lists, not a specific creator.
No, I meant like in terms of anything else. Like I didn't mean like a personal attack or anything. I just meant like, is there anything like I didn't bring up that you wanted to like, did I fail to bring something up that you were wanting to discuss?
Not really. I mean, the main point of the video was just, and I'm only using your tier list as an example because we're speaking now, but if you get rid of that overall column, it's a brilliant sheet.
Cool. Okay. Well, yeah, that's really it's really all the it was fun talking. I guess that's kind of the end of it. And yeah, we can always like talk again or do a collab if you ever want to come on my channel, or if you want to have me on your channel. I'm always down. There's no hate or anything. It's always fun to kind of talk through issues, and there's nothing wrong with disagreeing.
And like I said, I really appreciate
you just made the
doing
list.
This once again. Like, I was actually extremely happy when I saw the comment and then you messaged me, because I think it was like a day after when you made the message to me.
Yeah, admittedly, I do a bad job of like keeping up on the content. I mean, so many people making videos, and then people were telling me like, did you hear Murder like calling out all the tier lists? And I kind of went and watched it, and I don't think you were vicious to any specific person or anything. So I think your opinion is fair. I don't think you did anything wrong. So I just thought it'd be fun to kind of, because I definitely disagreed with you. But I thought it was fun to kind of talk about it and get two different perspectives on something.
Absolutely, and that was the goal. And I probably shouldn't have responded to as many comments. I really enjoy the comment section because I know that there was a streamer that kind of talked about it briefly on their stream and sent all of their minions to the comments of my video. It made your side of the argument look really, really bad. So as soon as you messaged me, I said, thank you. This is going to be good, because someone who actually knows what they're talking about in the game is going to be able to discuss with me. Because like I said, I don't know if you read some of the comments, but they were very like cringe to read, made no sense, and it made the opposing argument side from what I was saying look really, really bad. And I think you did an excellent job in this debate here. You asked everything you wanted to, and it was a good back and forth. It wasn't like the comments where it's literally like a kid jumping up and down having a tantrum. Like I said, I really wish more people would have came forward and said, let's talk about this. So, I mean, major props to you for doing that. I think this was literally the goal of the video.
Cool. Yeah, I'm all for having real conversations. So yeah, that's awesome. So and also, by the way, I know we like I don't want to say it publicly, but I know like you've been dealing with some stuff. So I just wanted to like publicly say like, you know, hey, there's no hate, and I hope you're doing all right and get some sleep and hang in there.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
All right, cool. Well, if that's it for you, that's it for me, and have a good night, man.
Absolutely. You too. Great chat.
We'll see ya. Yep. Alrighty, that's gonna do it for this one. It was really fun to chat with Murder Inc. and get a different perspective on things and really get some clarification on the two viewpoints and the things that we disagreed on. So yeah, remember, down in a pinned comment, I will link to Murder's channel if you want to check that out. And huge shout out to him for taking the time to sit down with me and have this discussion. So yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments. But I do want to make sure and mention just really quickly, whether you agree with me or you agree with Murder, that's totally fine. If you do disagree with Murder, I don't want people in my community to like go to his Twitch chat and harass him, or go to his YouTube comment sections and harass him. Like, if you disagree, no matter who it is, that's fine. But if you disagree with Murder, I don't want people in my community to go harass him. That's my only point. If you disagree with me, totally fine. Let me know down in the comments. I like, if I'm wrong, I enjoy hearing it so that I can learn and become better. So you can criticize me all you want. I just don't want to send my community out to like harass Murder if there's some people that disagreed with some of the things he said. So yeah, that's going to do it for this one. As always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.